So I want to welcome everyone to this open session, part of the working group for Grants Program Restructuring. As you may know, this working group was created a couple of months ago by request of Pablo and Lorelai. Then it was kind of deprioritized because there were a lot of discussions ongoing about different topics. So now that we're actually bringing again these issues to the table, the whole revamp or restructuring of the governance system, the restructuring of the grants program, we thought it was very important to resume these discussions, to get community insights on this, because there are like a lot of proposals about the grants program per se, a lot of proposals about how to allocate funds, about the timing for the grants, about resubmissions, about open source. There's a lot of stuff happening, and the idea is to order everything. And if we're going together to promote those proposals into draft stages and into draft stage, and then binding governance proposal, will be the better if we have an agreement with everyone here. So again, this is going to be the first session for this. It has been a while since we had the last one. And we're planning on doing these sessions every 2 weeks, as we are going to do with the BP distribution. And as I mentioned, the idea is to start promoting those different proposals in which the community agrees that will be good for the grants program, or one single proposal for the whole restructuring, considering also what's happening in the BP distribution working group in terms of the governance system. So with that said, I'm going to pass it to Ibai.
Okay, thank you, Fez. Thank you, everyone. Just want to make sure everyone has the mural. Seeing a couple of arrows there, but is everyone able to jump in? Okay, no worries.
You going to share the screen, or do you want me to do it?
You want to do it, Fez?
Yep.
Yeah, mural has this thing where you have to give access to the workspace first and then the mural. So, with me, Fifi, do you have access already? Let me just, oh, no, you should just pop up the message. So I believe Fifi should be able to. So we can start. The dynamic for today is going to be similar to the BP distribution one, working group. You have the mural and you'll see 4 buckets of where initiatives should be put. All right, we have request requirements, meaning what requisites like grants and grantees should have for applying to a grant. So all of those things that go prior should be considered right here. Then we have accountability, which is what are the expectations and obligations of the grantee, if we have any KPI considered or something that should be happening alongside the grant when it's already given. Those initiatives should be considered there. Then we have revocation, and as we all know, it's like when a grantee hasn't fulfilled its obligations, and we have to kickstart a revocation process. Any initiative related to that improvement can be put right in there. And then we have our proposal section, which is kind of miscellaneous. Some of the proposals there are referring to caps for the amount. We have the pricing guide, which was discussed as well. Trial runs also for grants, so anything that quite not fits in the other buckets can be put in our proposals. So what we're going to do is just give everyone a couple of minutes just to think write down your feelings, thoughts, initiatives, or whatever you are considering to. And then we'll open the mic so we can start referring the cards and we can kickstart the discussion. You can also interact with the cards with emotes, reactions, and whatever, which of course is encouraged. And one other thing is that the ones that have a red circle are already past polls. I believe we have one active as well, and one that's a draft, not a poll. But it would be great to talk about this and reference those, since they were already included in the governance process. We already have a poll, they have been voted. So talking about those ones might be a little easier since we have some background. But yeah, feel free to share your thoughts in the cards. And if that's okay, Fede, we can put some music and give everyone a couple of minutes.
Yeah, sure, we'll do that. I just wanted to remind you all that this could be also about the budget for the different categories. The different categories that we have, maybe we don't need categories, maybe we need two, maybe we need more categories. So again, this is about the whole grants program. From its beginning, from the moment someone wants to request it, and obviously for the time that DAO has to allocate the funds. So yes, I'll put some music and I'll give you the time to complete.
Yeah. And I'm giving access to everyone, just bear with me.
Can you hear the music? Sure. Yeah. Arrows are landing.
Okay, we might need another mural. Running out of notes.
Definitely a follow-up meeting, another meeting about this, because we are not going to be able to cover everything, but we're trying. We're going to do our best.
For sure. How about we start, if anyone wants to talk first, and maybe we can reference the specific card instead of us going one by one, which is going probably going to take us the whole afternoon. And then we can just provide the summary of what we discussed, but just opening the mic if anyone wants to share their thoughts, and we can kickstart the discussion. Yeah, just raise the hand.
Hey there, this is Fifi from the Grants Restructuring Squad. I just want to say hello to everyone and say that we love to hear this and to participate in this with the community to improve the grants program. As you know, we create this from scratch, and compared to other DAO's grant program, we're doing pretty well. But we love to keep improving things, and it's important to hear from all of you. And yeah, arrows are flying over everywhere, so I cannot wait to read everything. I just wanted to say hi from the Grants Restructuring Squad. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you a lot, Fifi, for the words.
And that what Fifi mentioned is it's true. This is good grants program overall. Actually, a great grants program. We know all the problems and issues that we are facing. We already know what's happening, and there's a lot of room, a lot of space for improvement. But yeah, that's something that we need to know. It's a good grants program in comparison with other DAOs. So let's make it better. Following with eBay's words, if anyone wants to join the stage and share something about the card that you created there, please request to be a speaker, and I'll invite you to the stage to share your comments or thoughts. If not, we can start like as we did last time with the BP distribution, grouping the different cards and reading them out loud to discuss them. Maybe we could start. Okay, great. Crypto Trader wants to join the stage.
Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well here. So I just wanted to say that we probably need a proof of skills, maybe not a committee, but rather like teams and groups who are knowledgeable on subjects, who can review some of the grants that come through just to have a good understanding of like, is this viable? Is this technology going to be good? I do see a lot of people who are knowledgeable about these subjects posting on the forums and below grants, but I think those comments get lost sometimes. And maybe we need like a badge system or some form of verification where we can have like an experts comment section or something like a comments area where you can quote specific zones and you can have like a ratings on those areas inside of the grants. I just want to bring up one example. I don't want to call anybody out for this, but there was a project for the ChatGPT DCL docs improvements where somebody took a fair sum of money to basically build a ChatGPT thing to help with understanding Decentraland in the documents. It does not work. The person behind it did not have a good understanding of AI. And there were also some barriers to entry as well for just general users who wanted to use it. So you had to sign up with a GPT plus subscription. And there were better alternatives for this. I feel that, you know, if we had a group that had, you know, a proof of skills, understood what was going on, then we could have directed this person to much better resources, as well as maybe even provide them with members who could help them along in their journey. Because, you know, people don't come in maliciously to do that sort of stuff. It's like, it's somebody who sees a gap and they want to fill it and they want to help people. I think all we have to do is just provide them with the people who have the knowledge and send them on the right way, and they'll do the best they can. So, proof of skills.
Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, that's a really great idea. I think we could totally take like advantage of the situation right now with the budget system. We already have registered studios budgets, but having experts about specific topics, or maybe getting experts from those registered studios or from different creators or whatever, will help a lot for the grant selection, and not only for the grant selection, for the assessments of those grants.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people in there in the registered grant studios for Decentraland that we just have to hook them up, right? Like, we've got people there that want work. We've got people here in the grants projects that want to get things done. We just have to create that connection there and help everybody along the way, make sure they get the right members. Like, maybe somebody has a group that the team is working well on producing a product, but they don't have any marketing experience. They don't have anybody there for that. And they're trying to reach out and get people. And we can see that we've got, like, you know, fair groups of marketing inside of our community. We just have to set up these connections. I think the more that we sort of break down these walls between the grants projects and the community itself, like, we can find people to fill these spots. And I really want to point out that I think we should be leaning more towards the idea that these projects aren't necessarily belonged by the individual that are putting them forward. They should be DAO owned. We should be acting as though the DAO is managing a group of developers or a group of artists or a group of creations, and they are trying to make sure that these people have all the resources that they need to get this project done correctly, but also holding them accountable. So if they are failing in this project and we know it's a management issue, we know they're putting too much money into it, it's costing too much, we replace the team on it. Maybe we put that up for a bid and see, like, you know, make it more of a competition to get access to that project. Or maybe we already have a team in place at that point where we can just put that team onto that project and they're a good fit.
Well, like, excellent reflections. I really, really like what you're saying. And the good thing about this is that we could really build on top of things that we already have here. The budget system, for example, or the bidding and tendering procedure, right? If we want to, like, a lot of DAOs have this thing that they call missions. Arbitrum and Optimist have them. And they identify which things are, in terms of public goods, as in terms of enhancement of the ecosystem, good for the project. And we have a similar thing that it's the bidding and tendering through pitch proposals and everything. And the things that you're mentioning could be, like, really good to start improving them, but using the current system. So again, thanks for joining. Thanks for sharing your comments. I don't know if I'm showing sharing the cards that you wrote, but they are kind of related, so that's why I zoomed in. But yeah, thanks a lot for those insights.
Yeah, no worries. I do feel like we have all the tools here. We just really need to adopt a better philosophy for how to use them and implement them. And it's like everybody wants to be involved with it, right? We've got a lot of people here today too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm actually really surprised. Not that surprised, because it is something that it's concerning for everyone, obviously. But we're having a huge engagement, so that's great. So again, thanks. Jaracida just joined the stage. I don't know if she wants to share something.
Yeah, that one thing that we have been discussing with the team, seeing other DAOs and what other DAOs do, is that they do have a selection committee for grants. So what this selection committee does is check the viability and the alignment with the mission of the projects. And when that screening is passed, then delegates can vote on the project. So, because one of the things that had happened in our program is that people apply for grant proposals that later on are not feasible or not viable to do, or they are, like, far away from the mission on when the DAO is going. So we have been discussing that. It would be great to implement something like a screening that could help meet that.
Another thing in that's more like could be more polemic, or people couldn't agree with that. I do agree with that, because it kind of follows the idea from crypto trader, right? Like having specialized people that actually knows what are we talking about, to do that screening and to allow those projects that are good for the platform, good for the ecosystem, to be promoted, to have fun, to have funds and everything. So I believe these two are the cards that are referring to that. Yeah, I think they are. But yeah, that's a really valid point. And the other thing that's really important is that you mentioned the mission and the vision of the DAO. And right now we are also like in halfway there, because we are working with the strategic planning and everything about this, right? About having our own structure, our own framework for deciding what is important for the DAO, and what should the DAO be doing with the funds and with the projects right now. So again, this is all related with the governance system and BP distribution. It's also related to strategic planning, but it's good to focus here now on how those things will affect the grants program. I'll pass it to Lestrom that just joined the stage.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to comment on both of those. I think they're great ideas, but I think coming up with less categories and then applying these things to certain categories, you know, like a technical team for review for the platform makes sense, but not necessarily social media. And maybe that entire category goes away. I think getting back to what Yarcita said in terms of what is the strategic vision of the DAO, you know, my opinion is we shouldn't be paying people ad hoc for social media engagement like this. I think that could possibly be inverted in terms of the decision where the DAO puts a proposal together and chooses who to engage for social media, not the inverse. Like, hey, I'm going to raise my hand and do social media, give me a grant. I think it should be the DAO chooses who to do social media. So I think there's some categories we can get rid of. And I think limiting those categories and then applying an oversight committee or a technical review or application committee to those grants, in addition to platform categories being owned by the DAO versus, you know, an in-world content. I think like a FAFO category where you want 1 to 10 grand, let's say, to learn how to do something, probably doesn't need a technical review and probably doesn't need to be owned by the DAO. So I think putting all those together in a restructuring of the categories makes the most sense.
Great. And I'm really glad that you brought that here. Is that a card? Did you wrote a card about the categories, or?
It's in the bottom right of the green. There's less categories. I just
okay. There it is. Sorry. Okay.
So
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also wanted to thank the one that added that, because it's something that you also mentioned, right? Maybe we need less categories. Maybe we don't need categories at all. Maybe we need specific categories that could be selected in a different way, and that's very important to bring here. So thanks for highlighting that.
I think a way that we could do that actually is using like a tags or a genre system, right? Like you have a project that has multiple sort of overlaps with categories, and you just use a tag system to push it forward or something.
That's also a good idea. We're actually having that tags pilot in the grants channel now. We're using tags, just like the normal tags, the usual ones. But we're experiencing something good with it because it's easier to know what are they talking about. So yeah, but the tags thing, like how maybe not having categories, but the grantees self-defining their grants that are part of what they think is a category or different tags would be a good idea too. I will add that to the card if you allow me. There's categories and or tags. Okay.
I think it gets back to the other card though, of like, what is our strategic vision for this framework?
Yep, totally. Because if you're talking about categories, that categories should be defined based on that strategic goals, right? So yeah, it's the egg or the chicken, but it's important to define the strategic vision, right? Because if we freeze the grants because we wanted as community, and I'm talking like I'm saying we because the outcome was that it was approved. if we want to focus on the platform or other stuff that's not right now in our content or social media or whatever, we should define that. We should say that. We should state that in a document or through another binding proposal. I mean, we should totally have like a manifesto or something, as the foundation did, based on the document that Lorlike has put together, based on everything that we've been discussing in strategic planning the past year. But we definitely need somewhere, something to start with, right? Because if not, we are just creating new categories, deleting old ones, and it's that. I mean, that's not bad, but we should have more predictability in terms of the grants. So again, thanks for bringing that, and thanks for getting back to the strategic vision. I'm seeing a lot of comments. I'm scrolling, trying to read them. Don't know, Ibe, if you want to say something. In the meanwhile, again, if any of you wants to join the stage and share comments on your cards, on the different ideas that are here, please just request it and we'll invite you.
Okay, seeing a lot of cards, I think.
I just wanted to bring up one topic too. If the one that has a pass poll for setting a timeout period for community members who have already received a grant, I think we need to look at our grant framework as not individual community members. Yes, obviously, but again, it gets back to the strategic vision of our long-term goals. Who are we trying to attract with this grant framework? Is it studios like Last Slice? Is it studios like indie developers? You know, we level up. I would, no shame to anybody in Decentraland, but they're not even an indie development studio. So, you know, what is our target for this grant framework? Is it individuals that want to play around, or is it more serious, even, you know, indie developer studios that are better than that what we all have in Decentraland? If they can only do one grant and then they have to wait a few months to do something else, I just feels like it might be a discouragement to, you know, our ecosystem.
That's true, and we could also like decide if we want to attract studios, for example, if the best way is through grants or through bidding and tendering or other ways to allocate money. So that's another important thing, right? The strategy to bring more people here, because let's do not play fool, and we all know that the grant program is one of the things that keeps this DAO going, this DAO moving, and what brought a lot of people here, a lot of creators and everything. So it's important to also define within the strategy, how are we going to reach out to those studios or creators or indie studios or developers or whatever, and what are the strategies that we're going to adopt for that, right? Because it's not the same to promote the grants program for, I don't know, 3D modelers, for example, that promoting the bidding and tendering process for big studios by previously identifying what the DAO needs. So that's also a really important thing to mention. We have two different systems to allocate money. They are both under the grants, the scope of work of the grants program, but they are different ways to allocate money and to allocate funds and to identify the needs of the DAO. So thanks again for...
I just want to be clear. So you're saying if you receive a grant through the bidding and tendering, that's technically different than receiving a grant if you submitted it?
It's the way to obtain that funds is different. For example,
but it's still a proposal, right? It's
sorry?
Still a grant. It's still a grant, right?
Yeah, it's still a grant once the bid is elected and everything. That's totally correct. What I'm saying is the way that projects are like pitched or defined or whatever. I already mentioned the missions thing in other DAOs. The way that those issues or problems are identified are different, right? Because through bidding and tendering, I can like identify an issue, pitch that issue, and create the tender proposal, as it happened with the headquarters, and it's going to happen with the SDK support team and the liaison. but the grants program is someone bringing a solution, proposing a solution.
I understand that, Fez. What I'm saying is they're technically, it doesn't matter how you get the grant. You're technically a grantee either way. Yep.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if, maybe submitting grants limits you versus receiving bidding and tendering, because in the end, they're both a grantee. So this note card, it doesn't matter how you get the grant. You still become a grantee and would be limited regardless of the pathway to becoming a grantee. So that was my concern, is if you have millions of bidding and tenderings and you try to do one or two of them, if you have a big studio with 100 people and they only can do one grant, maybe they could do 2 or 3. I would be totally in support of Blizzard coming in. Let's just use them, but I don't know any indie dev studios. Like somebody in between there and our devs in Decentraland coming in and saying, hey, here's our experience. We've built games with 3 million users. We're going to take these 2 grants. Like, would we actually turn them away just because they submitted the grant and or were a bidding tendering? So I think we just got to be careful, again, about our strategic future, how we want to attract beyond our little group right now.
100%. I just was saying the same, but from a different perspective. We definitely need to have a strategy, and we definitely need to choose what are we promoting as our product to attract those studios. But 100% Alan. If Blizzard comes here and wants to develop something, we should think it. Actually, we should think it more in terms of partnership or something. Grants program. If that's the entry point, we should totally think that that's a possibility, or that might be a possibility in the future. So, a really valid point.
Nice. Okay.
So if we're running into a bit of a lull here, I do want to talk about a bit of the financing stuff. So right now, finding out information for expenses, this is, going to be in the yellow. The open budget reports on the left side, like the 4th one down for cards. Right now, it's very difficult to find out any information on the expenses regarding a project. Maybe you'll have like a monthly breakdown of how something was spent, or how much people are getting paid within the initial grants, run through the overview of their finances. I think what we should do for this is we should basically force any grant that has come through to open a Google Sheets and share on there, all the expenses, how much people have worked, have timesheets even, maybe. It's like, it adds 5 minutes to the day at most, and it would give so much more for the community. This also lets us kind of have a change to perspective as well, where the project's length isn't the length of the initial grant offering. It's not like the 6-month period. The grant's lifetime should be as long as that funding lasts, right? So that kind of lets us see like how much people are charging. It gives a lot more information to other grantees, like how much should I be charging for this? What is the standard for this, right?
Well, there's actually, I don't know if
do we have this already implemented?
Yeah, we have it partially implemented. I'm going to share. I just published our updates today, so I want to share here in the grants. You have the updates, and if you click on the updates, where it is, here you have the
amazing! Look at
tool
that.
and services. Here, for example, I put that we allocated some money to subscriptions for editing and some AI tools.
Can we see receipts on that though? Like, are you able to upload, say, like you have server costs? Can you upload like invoices on there so you can view it? Or because the thing with the sheets is usually what I'm doing with a lot of my projects, whenever I have a contract or anything, whenever I have expenses, it's like I've got all of the resources put right into the spreadsheet. You just click on it and you can get directed directly to the invoice. So it's like proof of expensing, right? Yeah, I don't know if timesheets are required.
No, timesheets not for now.
No,
what we have is just.
But...
Yeah. For now, what we have is just you have to report, the money that you spent and where that money went, and like the the like the transaction address and everything. So that has been an improvement. That was actually proposed by Cheddar Queso a couple of months ago, and has been implemented, I believe, 1 or 2 months ago. 2 months ago, because I have already put 2 of those reports, and it's kind of working. And it's, in terms of transparency, it's better than nothing, right? We will at least know, and we have the transactions, the concrete address of the transaction. So that has been an improvement. But yeah, I mean, there's always room for improvement there. But what we have right now is actually better than what we have before.
Now, one issue that I do have with that is I don't have a solution for this. Is that a lot of the transactions that I make, I'm usually paying out of my like personal bank account or wallet or like, you know, whatever, of like real fiat towards somebody, and then most of the money from like, you know, grants and other contracts does just sit in my crypto wallet, because it is such a nuisance in Canada right now to try and even get it out of there. So with the whole like there are some notes on here on self-doxing and stuff. Like, how far does everyone want to go on that? Like, is this basically getting to the point where you're getting not necessarily audits, but like proof of transaction on bank accounts? I have no idea on like how far that goes for the financial side of things. But if you're dealing with like values of hundreds of thousands of dollars, then there might be some validity to having trusted staff or DAO members being able to witness the fact that these transactions actually went out to people to pay for things, right? So I don't know. I just want to bring that topic up if anybody has any word on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm reading the screenshot here. You know, Last Slice is a big studio, or it's a collection of people. And if we get $100,000, it's not just going to Lastrum. And I have to pay people that do work. And I'm sure if I don't pay those people on the blockchain or in fiat, they're probably going to be really freaking pissed off at me, and will say something. So I think there could be an interesting scenario where if an individual is proposing an idea for a certain amount of money, I don't necessarily like the doxing scenario, but I like some form of verification on an individual versus like a team, because the team will hold the payee, like the payor, accountable. Like if you're doing work on a project and you don't get paid, you're probably going to cause a ruckus and say, hey, this guy Lashram didn't pay me for my work that I did. And we could see that on the blockchain. So I'm just wondering if we could figure out a way, if it's not doxing, I don't know how to do it, but yeah, like large sums of money to one individual versus like to a team are completely different.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm contracting like art studios to do things, which isn't cheap, but they don't take money in crypto, right? So it's like I'm paying out of my personal accounts and stuff like that. I'm sure that's the case for other people, and will be in the future too. It's just sort of like what's the safe area where we can have accountability, but we respect other people's privacy and security, right? I don't know where on that spectrum will land, but yeah, it's just a note to remember, or rather take into consideration, right?
Yep, that has been a debate for a long time. So yeah, it's important to have, again, those discussions. I believe we still, and it's going to be complicated to find a solution for that in the short and the mid and the long term, but it's worth to have those discussions now. Thanks for that. Any other comments? I want to reinforce and remember everyone that there are already some proposals that are at poll or draft stages. And well, again, it's important to have community feedback on them, such as the open source thing that Jared presented, that we promoted as draft, and then a lot of community members came with some concerns regarding that and the scope and everything about open source as a thing. And we didn't present the binding proposal yet, but yeah, we should resume those discussions and present it, considering obviously all the inputs. But the same is happening with a lot of proposals here that are like very important for the grants program. So yeah, if any of you wants to discuss about those proposals or about any other things that are here that like are million things here, please raise your hands and I'd invite you to the stage. We still have like 10 minutes if we want to keep this to an hour. I can stay here for more time if we need to, but if not, we can just have another session continuing with this analysis next week or the following one. I'm going to stop talking and give you the time to.
As before I go, is I think we need to have another session in the next week to discuss the strategy, vision, and categories. I think the chicken and the egg, but you know, we're trying to put all these places, these pillars, right? We're trying to stand these pillars up in quicksand right now. We don't have a foundation of like what our vision is for this house we're building. We don't have anything. So before we go too deep in the next meeting in 2 weeks on implementing some of these ideas into a draft, I think understanding what our strategic vision and categories are so that we can take these pillars and organize them to build the best house possible based on that strategic vision and category selection.
Sure. Yeah, let's, I mean, I actually mentioned that we should have another meeting next week because the original idea was to have these meetings every 2 weeks. But yeah, since we didn't cover, like, I don't think we cover the 30% of this stuff. And moreover, we didn't agree on any basic points. So yeah, we definitely need another meeting. We're going to arrange something for next week. Like, not to steal more time from you today, but I believe it was, but it's being a really productive session, and we have a lot of inputs to continue working on summaries and to continue working on the proposals that we have right now. So Sinful just joined the stage. I'm going to pass it to him.
Hey everyone, Fez, Ivy, thank you for having me up. I just wanted to kind of add or put more context, I guess, to what Lastrom was even saying, like, with the whole vision of, like, what we're trying to do, like, what do we want our house to look like? I think we definitely need to get the people that are heavily involved in this, like, in on this conversation as well, that being the foundation, because the sooner they allow us to work with them in conjunction to, like, what their manifesto is, or like the quicker that we can all, like, you know, organize and continue to, and, you know, kind of continue to push forward on what we want our house to look like, what we want this to be.
Yeah, we definitely will invite Foundation for next time. That's very important, actually. This one was, again, like that, the resuming of these discussions, but yeah, it's important to bring them here, at least as like to hear what we think about this. In terms of us like working close with the Foundation, I believe the SDK support team and the technical liaison role are going to help a lot with that. Like, the main idea of that role and that team is to potentiate these things that you're saying and to align like all the ideas that we have, and to be more aware of what they are doing and what they are prioritizing, and to push our requests with the Foundation. So I believe that's going to happen sooner or later with that specific team and that specific liaison role. So I think the voting started like today or yesterday. It's very important, all of you, to vote on that or to give feedback if you don't feel that like that's the approach that we should adopt. But yeah, what you mentioned is really important. And the Foundation has since that, like, discussions that we had on December, and everything that happened after that, and the document that we have to put together as a community, and the response from Gemel, lot of stuff is happening internally in Foundation in terms of like being more transparent and working together with the DAO, like baby steps, obviously. But I actually was going to do make an announcement today, reminding everyone that you have access to the product cycle, like the shape up cycle dashboard. I'm going to share it now. But yeah, baby steps and things. I believe things are going to be improved once we have that technical liaison, because right now what we have is a lot of community members reaching out to the or Gino or me or Sino or Gia or people from the squads reaching out to the foundation to solve specific issues. But what we need is like a concrete channel, a neat channel to connect and to do that back and forth on technical aspects, obviously. If you give me 2 seconds, I'm going. You can keep talking. I'm going to share the shape up cycles thing that I mentioned, and you can just keep talking. Sorry.
Yeah, mainly like because there have been so many times where when we have a grantee here in our DAO that has proposed kind of like an improvement for something, and they go in, they build it out, you know, the DAO pays them out and everything, but then Foundation just kind of turns around and does their own thing with kind of like the same, within that same category. Like, you know, so in a way it's like we're double paying, or I don't even know if it's double paying. I mean, they have their own vesting contracts and we have our own contracts, so it's like the money's just not producing anything at that point.
Yeah, I mean, as a minimum, we are duplicating efforts, and that in terms of efficiency, that's shit. I mean, totally. That was something that I don't know if you raised that during the session or in the document that we presented to the foundation, but that was an actual concern that we raised, and we're actually trying to find ways with foundation to coordinate in a better way what you just mentioned, right? So I believe.
Yep. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I just want to comment after you're done.
No, go ahead. You give me time to find what I mentioned about. Here it is.
Well, yeah, because I'm trying to find what you're trying to find, and it was hard to find the shape up cycle.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I say I was going to make an announcement today, but yeah, I had to update our grant and everything. So that it was my fault. It was my fault. Sorry about that.
No. I'm saying that is just how difficult it is for everybody here on the DAO side to like figure out what the foundation is doing, and on what Sinful said. Just to sort of expand on that, not everything in the manifesto is in what you're looking at in this product shape up cycle. So if you wanted to develop something, or like, you know, Madamus, he's a great example. I don't know if Sinful was talking about Madamus, but the whole backpack situation, Madamus got paid to build a backpack and it was awesome. And it was a great concept. And there was no crossover with the foundation. And then they just do it themselves. Don't even include Madamus in any of the stuff. And it's like, wait a second. Why not even work with him or use the DAO and then implement what Madamus did into the platform, right? There's none of that. The inverse is if you want to create something that isn't on the shape up cycle and you start developing it and then all of a sudden you see it on the shape up cycle, how does that work out? Because it's currently not there. So how are we supposed to know if the foundation's actually working on it?
With the technical liaison.
No, I trust me, I agree. That's why I was a big advocate of not just one person, but like a technical team at the DAO to future-proof our technical requirements as we take over as we take over the GitHub, as we try to approve grants, as we try to understand what the heck is going on, as we try to push Canny requests further, you know, up the chain of priority. So yeah, I really think that this technical role plus team is going to be immensely beneficial across all DAO operations, not just the liaison portion and the migration portion, but understanding this sort of cooperative work environment.
Yep. I couldn't agree anymore with you. So, yep, 100%. We definitely need a technical team or a technical group of people or ways to identify those technical saviors. So, yeah, we're like, again, halfway there because we have this SDK support team and liaison experiment. And recently with Crypto Trader Insights, we could totally start identifying those experts through badges and everything too. But yeah, we're on the right way. I'm feeling like at least we're like looking at the right place. So that's great. That's great. We're pretty much aligned with the rest of the community with this. Okay, we're past the time. As I said, we'll probably need another meeting, a follow-up meeting, because there are like thousands of cards and ideas that we didn't touch base on. A lot of them regarding revocation, we didn't touch base at all about revocation, and that's like a really important thing here, because the revocation committee and the Grant Support Squad are doing the revocations and the research and everything with the tools that they have like on their hands right now, but giving them more tools and more like binding proposals background and places where they can fall back will be nice. So it's very important, if not having one single proposal, like putting together all these ideas or some of them, it's really important to give them more tools for revocation. And regarding this miscellaneous thing that eBay mentioned, the same. There are a lot of proposals that are ongoing that we should totally promote or at least analyze or discuss during the following weeks. So yeah, a lot of work to do, both on community's end and the squad's end. So we will try to put together a summary of what we've discussed during this session. It's not going to be easy because it's like a partial summary with no conclusions at all, or maybe some partial conclusions. But yeah, what I wanted to say is thanks everyone again for joining. Again, I'm like surprised because of the audience today and the participation and the engagement. But it shouldn't be surprised. Shouldn't be a surprise because this is like the grants program is like in the center of the thing right now, and should be something that we should be discussing every day with this level of discussions. So great that we're having this space. We'll keep you posted about next steps. And I don't know if you want to give some closure words.
Yeah, I mean, thanks everyone for joining. Hope this was productive. It feels like it. So thanks everyone. Just share the link to the channel. The Grants Restructuring channel is open 24/7. So if you want to keep discussing or chatting, you can continue to do so. And we also have the VP distribution second session next week as well. So hope to see you all there. Yeah, just ping me if anything. Thank you, Fez, and thanks everyone.
Okay, folks, have a nice rest of the day. Good night, good morning, I don't know. But yeah, we'll keep you posted about next steps. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good one.